Hello and a very warm welcome to discussion today with your host Kriti Mishra. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the Indian startups of today are the multinational corporations of tomorrow that can go a long way in achieving the goal of Atmanirbhar Bharat. The last few decades saw multinational corporations from abroad do business and prosper in India. But this decade will belong to the Indian MNCs. India has undertaken rapid reforms in recent months and tried not only to keep pace with the changes, but also to anticipate and adapt to them. During the COVID-19 crisis, the country found permanent solutions for tackling shortages of PPE, masks and ventilators. And to discuss the way forward, I'm joined by Pankhuri Dutt, Public Policy Consultant, Niti Aayog, and Mr. A.K. Bhattacharya, Editorial Director, Business Standard. Welcome to Rajya Sabha Television, both of you. Mr. Bhattacharya, coming to you first. Let me quote Prime Minister Modi. He says that this decade is going to be of multinational corporations within India, and it is the perfect time to spread the influence of India across the world. Your takes are?
Well, I think it's an aspirational statement. It is also rooted in the fact that there are quite a few Indian companies which have expanded their presence and footprint across the globe. But just to sort of highlight a point that he mentioned, he talked about how startups becoming tomorrow's multinationals. And I think that's a very important point. And the second point he mentioned was how the tier 2 and tier 3 cities can probably provide the kind of springboard for the new multinationals that he would like to see going forward. Given this background, if you look at the track record of Indian companies in the multinational space, you will find that there are three broad categories of Indian companies who have been operating as multinationals in the sense that having presence in more than one country by way of either manufacturing presence or big market presence. You have companies in the manufacturing sector. You have companies like Tata Motors, Asian Paints. You have Sundaram Fastener, to name just a few. Then the second sector is the pharmaceutical sector. They have a huge multinationals footprint in the sense that if you look at Dr. Reddy's laboratory, you can look at Ranbaxy, so they have that. And the third category is you have got the IT companies, which is Infosys, Tata Consultancy Services, the TCS. Now they also have, and I forgot to mention Bharat Forge, which is also a strong contender to be called a multinational. Now these companies are actually in many ways are an outcome of the kind of economic liberalization process that took place in the last 2-3 decades. And it is reasonable to attribute their emergence as MNCs to the kind of liberalization policies that this country has seen under different governments, and allowing these companies to realize their true potential by liberalizing the factors of production, by liberalizing policies on easy access to capital, and allowing them to go abroad and invest abroad and acquire companies. Now, it is important that if you want to sustain this process, and it is a very aspirational goal and it is a very important objective to have, it will be important to sustain that the policy liberalization, which cannot be inward-looking. It has to be outward-looking, both in terms of import tariffs, both in terms of access to capital, not just within the country, but in overseas markets. So you need a set of policy reforms that need to be continued and probably given a bigger boost. If you want the startups, more companies to become multinationals so that they can access the best raw materials available in the world at a competitive price, manufacture them in different countries or within India, and then export to the rest of the world. So underlying the success and growth of Indian multinationals is an important policy imperative, which is continued reforms, outward-looking approach,
Right.
and allowing foreign investment to come in so that the Indian companies also take advantage of the kind of global capital that is available. So I would restrict my comments at the preliminary stage at this point.
Absolutely. And it is very important to maintain that momentum. But before we move ahead in the discussion, few very interesting statistics for my viewers. India has the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. Bangalore has been listed within the world's 20 leading startup cities. It is also ranked as one of the world's 5 fastest growing startup cities. As on 6th of September 2020, more than 36,000 startups have been recognized by the DPIIT, and they have created employment opportunities of more than 4 lakh. Pankhuri, coming to you. Investor outlook in 2021 for Indian startups.
Things have been difficult in the current financial year, but going forward, the way some of the smaller firms and MSMEs have pivoted their businesses and their strategies to respond to the pandemic, it looks like some of them have been able to survive, and the year 2021 looks promising, and they'll be able to attract more investments, especially in the sectors that have done well even during the pandemic. IT and services have been able to do well. Some of the IT companies have also declared bonuses for their employees. Then, services sector startups will be, anybody in that value chain, it seems, will be able to attract more investments. Then pharma startups will be able to attract investments. So, and definitely fintech and tech space is also gaining traction as more and more people become tech savvy and start using digital platforms. So the investment scenarios for startups in these 3 fields look promising to me.
All right. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, Mr. Bhattacharya, India has given more unicorns this year than last year. How have these startups converted this crisis into an opportunity?
Well, I think what has happened in the startup space is that the pandemic certainly provided a kind of an implicit boost, a kind of businesses that were instead of providing experiences, they were providing goods at your doorstep. Instead of personalized transports, you needed, the kind of ride-sharing business that was necessary. So what we have seen in the pandemic is a kind of a shift in the focus of the business. You will see a large number of companies using the technology space, providing goods at your doorstep. A large number of technology platforms have sprung up to connect people to people, businesses to business. So Indian startups have taken advantage of that, and they can do much more in the coming days, because this is a change that is not going to be temporary. This is a change that will become the new normal. And these companies, the new companies, the startups, which have become unicorns, as you said, they actually have exploited the pandemic to their advantage. I will give you an example of a teaching company called Byju's. Now, that company has just reorganized itself, and realizing that how online education is offering tremendous opportunities. And as a matter of fact, Byju's became a unicorn in the pandemic year. So similarly, there are other companies in different spaces which took advantage of the pandemic, raised capital, not just actually, mostly they have raised capital abroad because there's a business potential there. So a large number of companies have taken advantage of it, and I just gave you one example, like the Byju's.
May I just add one point?
Please go ahead, Pankhuri.
Sure.
Please.
So, based on what Sir is saying about goods being delivered at your doorstep, I think the potential here is also immense for the service delivery companies. So you will see a lot of companies which quickly adapted to the challenge of delivering these goods to your doorstep have also done very well in the last year, and it seems they will continue to grow in the coming few years.
No, absolutely. She's Ms. Dutt is absolutely right in this, in a sense that if the new delivery model that has been made possible because of one, the kind of the platforms, technology platform that is available, will and the advantages arising out of that will not go away. So, as a matter of fact, there are a large number of brick and mortar companies who are actually embracing this new model of delivering goods at your doorsteps. I mean, you will see a remarkable transformation of, let's say, the pharma sector or the pharmacological sector, which is delivering drugs at your door. Now, it started with books to various companies, but now what books? You have gone into delivery of equipment, goods, utensils. Everything is available. Take companies like the Urban Clap, or now it's called the Urban Company, is providing a host of services at home. Now, I don't think these companies and their services and their need will go away. So it will be a new normal, and these companies will take full advantage of these new opportunities. As I said, that it will be important not to rest content with what they have achieved. It will be equally important to improvise and use this situation to improve policies and make policies in such a way that these companies can grow and take better advantage of this. One example is that should there be more investment in creating more strong and more widespread, speedier, faster bandwidth, network capacity. Now, everybody is going in for, we are having this discussion on a bandwidth. Now, if this bandwidth can be improved, so you need to invest a lot in your infrastructure. We are talking about 4G auctions. We are debating about 5G. Now, these are all technologies that need to be worked on, and quick decisions will have to be taken to take full advantage of this new kinds of businesses that are going to grow at a faster pace. Take the example of the digital, payments mechanism, how people are using more the digital technologies for making payments. Now, these are seeing an immense rise. Now, at the same time, you are seeing a lot of risks, a lot of problems, a lot of questions coming up. So you need policy to keep pace with these changes. So therefore, I would say that these are definitely bringing about a major change in the way we do business. We experience business, we receive goods and services, but at the same time, if policy does not keep pace with such a dramatic and fast change, then I would say our experiences should get better, and it should be there's a step should be taken in that direction.
Absolutely, sir, and innovation is going to be the key. But Pankhuri, I remember that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had launched this initiative, announced about it from the ramparts of the Red Fort on 15th of August in the year 2015. How has the startup ecosystem changed since the Startup India initiative was launched?
So, initially, that there are a lot of startups which are focused in tier 1 cities like Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, etc. But what I can tell you is, right now, if you look at one of the Niti Aayog initiatives for startups, which is called the WEP, Women Entrepreneurship Platform, we're also seeing a rise in the number of businesses which are being registered from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, which is in line with what PM Modi recently announced in Sambalpur, that more and more startups are coming in from these tiers as well. the nature of the startups has evolved. Initially, it was more focused on, fintech and manufacturing. Now you can see more fintechs in the agri sector. You can see more fintechs in the services sector. These would be some of the major changes that I have noticed. Information asymmetry is was another challenge, and right now you can see a lot of incubation centers or a lot of hand-holding being provided to such startups as well, which also help them raise finances as well as move over to a larger business segment when they are ready to do so.
And what are the changes that you've noticed in the attitude of women entrepreneurs or budding women entrepreneurs?
With respect to women entrepreneurs?
That's right.
Specifically? Yes. What we're seeing is that we're seeing the web is seeing a rise in the number of entrepreneurs who are actually seeking the help or seeking information about registration, about tax information, about accounting, etc. So what Niti Aayog is specifically trying to do is trying to launch these services in vernacular languages also. Right now we are present only in, we provide these services only in English. Then we're also trying to provide mentorship to these sectors because women usually lack, it's difficult for women to have find a mentor or have a formal, business network when they are based out of smaller cities. So these are some observations, and we are trying to address those as well. So again, these are some new trends that we are noticing.
All right, Mr. Bhattacharya, talking about the general sense, as far as ease of doing business is concerned, India has improved 79 positions in the World Bank's ease of doing business rankings. The government has unveiled several schemes for the startups, given fund concessions, tax concessions. But what are the challenges that lie ahead?
You are asking me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think the government has taken quite a few initiatives, as you pointed out, in financing, in creating a kind of an ecosystem that encourages the growth of more startups using technology. But I think going forward, it will be important to invest a lot of resources in creating the kind of workforce that are technologically more literate and technologically more useful for the new companies that are driven by technology and technological platforms. The importance of investing in core education in this field of what we call the STEMS education cannot be underestimated at any point. If you want more startups, more from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, because the big challenge that will come from a startup-led industrial revolution, if I may use that expression, will come from the kind of workforce that we have. Now, if you do not invest adequately in such education, which is in science or technology, engineering or mathematics, as they say, then we may miss the bus. So while we plan in creating, strong, reliable physical infrastructure, but we also need to invest not just in health, but also in education, and make sure that our education institutions, the many institutes of eminences that have been created and given that kind of the kind of degrees, they are trained to provide more qualified workforces, because these will be different kind of workers. These are not the kind of workers that you need for the manufacturing sector. If you don't do that, the fear is that there will be a digital divide in the country. The large number of workers who will not be trained in new technologies will not be able to shift to these new jobs that will come up in the startup space, in the technology space. So therefore, it is very important that while you take the important decisions and the reforms in those traditional factors of production like land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, but you also need to invest a lot more in education in the appropriate kind of fields, so that your workforce gets trained, and tomorrow's young Indians do not find the challenges that they will do face if they are not trained in the proper fields.
Pankhuri, I can see that you want to make a point.
No, I just wanted to. I agree with Sir, and I also think that the PM Modi's announcement about the Sambalpur institution complements his point. It's basically, Sambalpur has one of the oldest engineering colleges of India. Orissa is also known for having a manufacturing base, which was at some point not. Which has a lot of potential to grow in future. So now having a management institute of national repute established over there also ensures that local students don't have to venture out. There's a cost to attending universities outside your own state.
Yes.
So, there is a value chain of education being created right in your state. And if there is a startup which wants, hand-holding from a management institution or an engineering college, these provisions are there within the state now. And, having this kind of educational value chain also provides the right kind of mentorship to any startup which can use management or engineering expertise from such colleges. So the other point is that academia also attracts a lot of R&D money. So this can be used to boost local entrepreneurship space also. So again, it's what Sir is saying is absolutely correct, that education and a strong academia in a local environment actually will boost the productivity of Indian companies in general.
Well, absolutely. Prime Minister also made a very important point there, saying that it is incumbent upon all of us to give a new image to brand India globally. Closing comments from both my guests. Mr. Bhattacharya.
Well, I think it will be, important to see this as an opportunity. Because when technology becomes a kind of an imperative in a situation where businesses can gain more from productivity through technology, I think we need to invest a lot more, ease policies. And the path that has been outlined is the correct path. And it will be important to take this initiative forward with so that the government and the economy gains.
Pankhuri, closing comments?
There are a lot of positive externalities to having such institutions in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Not only does the entrepreneurial spirit gets boosted, but also the urbanization challenge that we're all facing can be answered if the business ecosystem in a state starts flourishing. So a lot of decongestion can start taking place if services and businesses are based out of tier 2, tier 3 cities as well. And I think this is also very inclusive policy where tier 2, tier 3 cities also get a chance to boost their income and their R&D, etc. So overall, this is a policy in the right direction, and within 5 to 10 years, we should be able to see good policies.
Absolutely, and we do hope that going forward, startups of India do create novel success stories. On that note, thank you so much for joining us. So that's all we had for you in this edition of Discussion Today. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Rajya Sabha TV.